but Slot also said that Alisson will be back, but Florian Wirtz will miss tomorrow's game against Forest with injury, and that they're without Conor Bradley and Jeremy Frimpong for the next few weeks too. All right, how bad is that for their title hopes? Jay, Wirtz, Bradley, Frimpong, but at least Alisson's back.
Yeah, obviously having Alisson back is amazing. He's one of the best keepers in the world. I think out of the list you just mentioned there, I think Conor Bradley probably would be the one that I think missing him is the biggest blow, because even though Szoboszlai can come into that right-back position, you want him in midfield because he's been playing ever so well there. Regarding Gay, I don't actually feel like Gay is a must sign in right now. Because like last season, Liverpool didn't have, they had the same defenders pretty much, apart from Konsa. Konsa's obviously left. Endo stepped in at centre-back sometimes, but it was Gomez, Konate and Van Dijk. I feel like the problems that Liverpool are having is more going forward. They need to score more and, you know, create more, win games that way. There's still like a great back line there. They haven't gelled as well as we would like to have seen with Kerkez, obviously Frimpong, but he's injured right now. But ultimately, there's some fantastic players there.
Yeah, I mean, with Wirtz, he actually played well for Germany in the week. So how frustrating will it be for him that he's out now when he was finding some form, albeit for his country?
I mean, it's strange that, because I did watch that Germany game as well, and I'm looking at it and I'm like, he just plays with like no fear. He's got the free roll of the pitch. And I feel like maybe that's what he needs, is just that role to like just go and roam. Give someone a free role. It's difficult to say though, because in this day and age, it's all about strategy and positions and tactics. Whereas when he plays for Germany, it seems like he's got the free role. But yeah, he will be disappointed, because of late he has put in some good performances. But ultimately, the problem that Liverpool have is, how do you fit all of the attackers in the team? Is it a case of having to change your formation, getting the best out of Isak? You know, Isak's getting criticism. He's going to score goals. He's a great player. Ekitike's on fire. Love him as a player. He's played well for France as well. But again, I feel like Liverpool are not far away. They just need to gel, and they need to gel soon.
Shall we have a look at the next 10 games for Liverpool and Arsenal? Okay, so they play each other in 10 games times. This is what's coming up in between there. Opta have ranked the difficulty of the next 8 games, by the way, saying that Liverpool have the easiest run ahead of Manchester City. Now, the points gap here between Arsenal and Liverpool is 8 points. Will it be bigger or smaller when they meet there at the bottom of that list?
I mean, obviously, Liverpool's fixtures are more favourable than Arsenal's, but you can't. No game in the Premier League is easy. To be honest, I'm kind of surprised that Man City are not up there as well. It's not just between Arsenal and Liverpool. Man City are there.
Well, it's only the only reason we've done it as those two is because Liverpool and Arsenal are playing each other in 10 games time. That's why we've done it.
Okay.
In terms of
I follow.
And because we're talking Liverpool, it's about closing the gap.
Okay, but I mean, yeah, Liverpool have a favourable run in there. They've got a lot of the teams in the bottom of the table. But they have to go and win them games. And they're not easy games, because now when teams play against the likes of Liverpool, Arsenal, Man City, they just sit in and they play counter-attack football. And them games are the most difficult ones. I think Liverpool would prefer to play against the likes of Arsenal and Man City, just because it's going to be a game of football. Both teams are going to come out and try and win, where sometimes when you play against the likes there of like Leeds, Fulham, Sunderland, Forest, they're going to play a low block and then try and score on the counter-attack. There's no doubt about it. Liverpool have a more favourable run-in over the next 10 games, but again, you have to win them games.
And just to be, you're not convinced that Liverpool need a centre-back then? Is that what you were trying to say earlier?
I mean, listen, I respect, you know, and love Jamie Carragher. I think a lot of what he says is spot on. But I just feel like I don't think that a centre-back is a must. A centre-back is not definitely going to win Liverpool a title or get them back into the title race. It's helping that team gel, making them play, you know, good football going forward, getting the players in the team so they understand what's required of them, and then obviously keeping clean sheets. We didn't talk about Liverpool's defence last year because they were organised. They didn't concede many goals and they were scoring goals. But right now, you know, they are conceding goals and they're not scoring very many. like last year. So I feel like it's more of a situation where they just have to get the team gelling. And they've still got a lot of time to do that.
Antoine Semenyo's been a name linked with them. I know we talked about him earlier on with Manchester United, didn't we? You said he wouldn't suit Manchester United because of their style of play. Would he suit Liverpool?
Again, like Semenyo, I think is a very, very good player, but I feel like Semenyo needs to go to a team that's going to play more directly. When I've seen Semenyo at his best is when he's, running at defences on a counter attack. And I'm not saying that he's not a good player. I'm not saying that he can't go and play for Liverpool or any of the other big teams. I just don't think he would suit the likes of Liverpool and City and Arsenal as much as like a Tottenham, for example. I think he would more fit into a Tottenham side than, a side like Liverpool. When I look at Liverpool, I think they should be looking at players like, I don't know, Alisson, for example, like some of the world's best. And it's no disrespect to Semenyo again, but I don't think he's at that level yet. There's no, he might be able to get there, but right now I don't think he's at that level, and I don't think he would gel into Liverpool's tactics.
Okay.
Well, let's go to Anfield now. We can speak to two men who follow the club week in, week out, every season. The Athletic's James Pearce and our very own Vinny O'Connor. Gentlemen, very good evening. Vinny, let me start with you. Now, early results were good. Performances, perhaps not so. Results now not good. But have performances actually changed?
Well, I thought we'd seen Liverpool turn a corner, actually. OK, the performance wasn't probably their best against Aston Villa, but they got the win. And then they followed it up with that stunning performance against Real Madrid. Unfortunately, then came the defeat to Manchester City, and it was a pretty convincing defeat in the end. And certainly Manchester City, you have to say, look, the better team on the day. But going back to the start of the season, I think there's been a lack of consistency in Liverpool's performance. I think we saw problems right from the off in that opening day against Bournemouth. They were 2-0 up, were pegged back to 2-2, eventually dramatically won the game by 4-2. But then the Newcastle game after that, again, 2-0 up. This time it was 10 men that came back at them and got it back to 2-2. And of course, dramatically winning that game once again, this time Rio Ungamoa with that stunning winner for Liverpool on the night. But again, we saw perhaps a better performance in some ways against Arsenal, certainly more solid at times, and a stunning free kick from Dominic Szoboszlai that took all 3 points. Not the best performance away at Burnley, but able to get over the line with that late Mo Salah penalty, of course. Again, a 2-goal lead slip then in the Champions League against Atletico Madrid before taking all 3 points there. They beat Everton 2-1. Then came the EFL Cup win over Southampton before that first defeat of the season against Crystal Palace. And we know the problems that they faced since then. I think there is mitigation. Injuries haven't helped them at times. It hasn't helped some of the players settling in. Obviously, you can highlight Alexander Isak. You can highlight Jeremy Frimpong as well at right back. And on top of that, of course, someone like Conor Bradley hasn't been at full fitness for much of the season. Same goes really for someone like Alexis McAllister. And when you've got problems like that, you don't get consistency of selection. And I think when you don't have that consistency in selection, it makes it very difficult to get consistency in performance as well.
Sure. James, Jamie Carragher made the point that they had to invest heavily because Slot didn't actually trust some of his title-winning squad. Is Jamie right?
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment. I think if you look at last season, it was very much a core group of 13 or 14 players that helped Liverpool win the Premier League. And Slot said himself towards the back end of last season, if he had any regrets, it probably was not being able to rotate more, because he felt that contributed to Liverpool kind of fatigue setting in and performances tailing off. He particularly talked about a number of times that week in March when Liverpool go out the Champions League to PSG and then they lose the Carabao Cup final to Newcastle, and it went pretty flat. And I think so this time around he felt like he needed more players that he knew he could count on. He was always going to rotate more with one eye on lasting the pace right through to May, and that's effectively borne out in Liverpool embarking on what was the biggest spending spree in their history.
All right then, James. So what is the main difference between this season and last season?
I mean, the biggest difference for me is how easy they've been to get at in terms of it. I mean, you only have to look at, the number of goals conceded. I think it's 17 after 11 league games. It was only 6 at the same stage a year ago. And, that it doesn't get any more glaring than that. I think out of possession that they have been too easy to play through. There's been a vulnerability that wasn't there last season where we often talked about things like control and discipline and organisation and Liverpool's ability to control games. They've just lost that, and I think there are a number of reasons for that. Of course, with big changes comes inevitably a period of transition. Of course, there was the tragedy that everyone connected with the club endured in the summer, which that's inevitably going to have a lasting impact on this season. And some players, as Vinny touched on there, players who were so influential last season haven't been at the same level. Some seem to have lost a bit of confidence. Others, it's been a fitness issue. Someone like McAllister missing a chunk of pre-season. The same with Conor Bradley. Mo Salah. I think we can see with Salah the challenge of suddenly trying to form new relationships, where for so long in his Liverpool career he kind of knew that he always had Trent Alexander-Arnold behind him.
James, Vinny, for the moment, thank you very much. We'll be back to you a little bit later in the show. But now we're going to bring in our transfer expert, Mark McAdam. Mark, Jamie Carragher said they're going to spend in January. Will they?
They certainly got the opportunity to spend. No football club in the Premier League spends $446.5 million in the summer with a plan to go and spend another $100 million in January.
So they got it wrong?
They didn't get it wrong. I think you look at the contracts they dished out to the players. 4, 5, 6 years. Not 3, 4, 5 months. It's a long-term plan. It's a long-term project. And I think that's the key thing. They are trying to build a team that can compete for many, many years to come. And of course, in this modern era of social media and noise and speculation, and everyone wants to have their say, they'll look at the start to the season, they'll say, actually, this isn't a great start. Liverpool have got it wrong. The players haven't hit the ground running. If I was to say to you, between January the 1st and the end of last season and the start of this season and now, Liverpool's win percentage, is it better now or between January the 1st and the end of the season?
Money's been... I've read that maybe £100 million they're going to spend. Now, Semenyo's got a release clause of 65 million quid. Gay, they agreed a deal of 35 million. Now, if my maths is right, is that the 100 million?
Let's be honest, Liverpool are one of those sides that use data to recruit players. That's the way they've always operated. And they've always operated with, if the player is right for our football club, the market value is correct, and we believe he can improve the team, will we go and sign that player? Absolutely. They're in the market for players. They want to recruit, they want to strengthen, they want to improve. We know that they got so close to signing Mark Gay, like you rightly say, on deadline day. It didn't happen. Are they still in the market for a defensive-minded player? Absolutely. Will that be executed in January? We don't know. Talking about Mark Gay, his situation is very different because he's going into the last 6 months of his contract. He can sign a pre-contract agreement with a team outside of the Premier League in January, or he could decide, I'm going to wait until the summer where I will be able to garner much more finance, a better signing on fee, higher wages, and I'll probably have the pick of some of the best sides in Europe. Anton Semenyo, another player that has been linked with Liverpool, we know that they like him, we know that Manchester City and Spurs are also big admirers of the Bournemouth man who, as we now know, has a release clause. It'll be one to watch. Is that an area they're looking at out wide? Absolutely.
I'm thinking it, and I know people at home are probably thinking it. They broke the record in the summer by spending gazillions. How can they go again?
Well, quite simply, Liverpool are run very, very well. You look at the summer of 2024 where their spend was virtually nothing. And of course, you have to remember that whilst this figure of 446.5 million is their outlay over the course of this summer, a Premier League record, you also have to remember that the net spend was actually lower than Arsenal's. That's because they sold so well. You look at some of those players that they sold, some of them that had come through the academy, some of them that had been at the club for some period of time, so they didn't actually owe a lot of money on those particular players. So the profits they were able to generate from those sales was actually really high. You look at that 218.4 million, divide that by the summer of 24 and the summer of 25, they've actually got a net spend of about £109 million, which for a Premier League side is actually quite low, particularly one like Liverpool.
That's going to keep the bank manager happy, but I'm going to go back to you and I'm going to press you. They still spent £446 million in the summer, and you're telling me they're going to go again. Did they get it wrong?
Absolutely not. If you walk into that Liverpool boardroom and you spoke to the movers and shakers, the people that run the club, the people that make the big money decisions, they will say we are totally calm and relaxed with what we did. We believe in our recruitment. We believe in these players. We believe in Arne Slot, and we believe in what we're doing. We've won 2 Premier League titles in the last 30-odd years. We are a team that has not historically won Premier League titles. We are looking to be one of those sides that continue to press and probe and win and operate at the sharp end of the table. And we are building a team that we believe can compete for many years to come. If you look at the ages of the players they signed in the summer, 21, 22, 24, 23, 18, 25. These are young players that haven't even hit their prime. They are building a project. You look at the Arsenal project, for example, Mikel Arteta going in 2019. They are 5 or 6 years down the line of their project. This is essentially year 1 plus a little bit of Liverpool. New sporting director, new manager, Michael Edwards back at the football club. This is just the start, and the players they've signed are all on the start of what they're hoping to be a really successful journey. But to answer your question, the people that make the decisions, are they relaxed? Absolutely. Do they believe in everything they did? Totally. Do they believe it will become good? 100%.